Hello, beautiful people. This video is about conditions of satisfaction versus acceptance criteria. And the reason why I want to do this is many times these distinctions get blurred together. And if we don't understand what the difference is, then we're not setting ourselves up for success for the innovation part of a project, for the less structured and less formalized and more ad hoc side of a project. And what I've seen in the years that I've been working is projects are becoming progressively more complex and sophisticated, and the people working in the projects are showing up with more levels of specific depth and expertise in smaller and smaller niches. So our ability to be able to understand the difference between the things that we can define really clearly and the things that are somewhat mutable and are transforming almost as the project evolves. If we can't understand the difference between those two things, we are setting ourselves up only to deliver on what is specified, and we are never really going to be able to bring that knowledge, that expertise, that genius, that mastery to the table in a way that delivers exceptional value and innovation for our end customer, for our end client. Everybody who works on projects for long periods of time, if the projects are, 6, 9, 18, 24 months, 3 years, 4 years, 6 years, however long the projects are, we all do it with a view to making a mark, to being significant in some way, to adding value, to delivering something that we are proud of, to deliver something that we can talk to other people about, or if we have children, we can talk to our children about. I remember my dad was a structural engineer, and he did some risky but amazing things, risky at the time but amazing things from an engineering standpoint. And when I was a kid, he used to drive us around Dublin and go, "Oh, I did that, oh, look at that, we did that, my team did that." And it instilled in me this amazing understanding of justified pride, right? When we do great work together, we want to be able to acknowledge ourselves for it. We don't have to have everyone else acknowledge us for it, so that's nice, but it's not essential. We want to be able to be proud of our own work, and we want to be able to talk about it, and we want to be able to have others appreciate the value, whether they know we're the people who delivered on it or not. So understanding the difference between things that are fixed and things that are mutable and movable and transforming as we work through a project is really essential. So let's look at the difference between conditions of satisfaction versus acceptance criteria. Conditions of satisfaction are the agreed upon definition of success between a customer and a performer. And the reason why I say definition of success and not definition of done, I'm going to talk about the definition of done in another video, because that's also really important in terms of the work that we're doing here. But the difference between definition of success is something that is difficult to define in most instances. So we might be able to deliver on what was specified in a project, but if it doesn't have that extra wow factor or that extra competitive edge or that extra special something, then we're not necessarily going to deliver on what our customer would consider to be success. Now, that wow is a really hard thing to define, but many times the understanding of what satisfaction really looks like, or a definition of success or a definition of satisfaction really looks like, lives in the understanding between people. It lives in the understanding between the customer and the person who is the project lead. So the end customer might be the head of product inside a company, and the project lead might be the person who's responsible for a particular product inside a company. That's something that evolves over time. Even if you have internal customers who are very well educated and very technically capable, they're understanding that technology is evolving throughout the project. So that's a bit of a moving task. It's a moving target. And what happens is our inability to be able to distinguish between the moving targets and the fixed targets means that we throw everything into the same bucket and everything looks like it's changing all of the time, and we don't ground ourselves in what we know we can define and what we know we're growing and evolving the definition of over time. And then we have scope creep, and we have a whole lot of stuff that happens that leads to a whole lot of breakdowns and a lot of dissatisfaction. So if we can distinguish between conditions of satisfaction, our agreed upon definition of success, we can recognize that it's voluntary, it's negotiated, it's mutually understood, and it is grounded in context, capacity, and expectations. So we're constantly working with this moving target. But if we have practices for engaging with our customers in a way that allows us to be able to make real commitments around what we're looking to deliver, and we're working with customers who are committed themselves to be satisfied. So let me contextualize that for you. If I'm a customer and I'm, say, the CTO of an organization, or I'm the chief product officer of an organization, and I know that I have an amazing team working on some project that's going to get delivered a year and a half from now, and I know that the world's technical understanding of what's possible for humanity right now is going like this. AI is driving our ability to innovate like this. It's an exponential curve. And I know that we're somewhere on that curve. And I know that in a year and a half or 2 years' time, we're going to be further ahead in that curve than we could even imagine right now. I owe it to my team to continue to educate myself, not through their work alone, but through my own research, my own understanding, my own attending in conferences, my own conversations I'm having with other experts, to really build a deep understanding of what it'll take for me to be satisfied with what my team is looking to build. It's not just the product. It is how the product shows up in the world, how the product delivers value in the world, how impressed people are with the product, whether or not the product has that magic wow factor, right? I need to educate myself on what that looks like so I can be an integral part of defining those conditions of satisfaction with my team, with my primary performer for the work that needs to get done. So let's talk about acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria, on the other hand, are very systems-driven, standardized requirements. So there's something that we've done before. There's something we can define. There's something we can effectively blueprint, not completely, but effectively blueprint. And we can use that to measure whether or not a task meets basic functional requirements. So I'm able to build really good test cases around it, and I can really understand ahead of time, I can build those, and I can really understand whether or not something is delivering on that functionality. So for example, I'm drinking water right now. We all know pretty much what a water bottle looks like. I can have modifications on a water bottle, but I can do pretty good specs on specifically what I'm looking for and what functionality I need it to have. Those are the sort of standardized requirements that I can recognize are different in my project than are conditions of satisfaction, where we're trying to understand something at a more mutable level, at a more moving target level. Why this distinction matters is that conditions of satisfaction are effectively relational. They are pretty much emerging as the team progresses down the path of building whatever product or whatever solution or whatever offering it is that you've asked them to build. And we need to recognize that. We are constantly operating as if we already know what it is that we're building, and all we're doing is defining the work that needs to be done and executing. We're not. The understanding of what we're building is emerging at the same time as we are delivering on the work. So when I ran teams that were doing big delivery and big execution work, what we would do, our joke was that it was like trying to build or repair a plane while you are flying it. And we had a visual for that, and we would talk to our customers about that's what it was that we were doing. Because what I found was it allowed us to be able to clear up our understanding of what acceptance criteria was versus what conditions of satisfaction were. And I also used it as a way to ask my customers to step into the space and work with me to understand what satisfaction really looked like, as we educated them as to the value of what we were bringing and what it could do and how it could support them. So when you think about this difference and you think about the distinction, think about it as conditions of satisfaction allow for customization and dialogue and dialing in and refinement over time, and acceptance criteria tend to be fixed. If you can begin to think about your projects in terms of, can we build acceptance criteria for these things? Yes, we can. Is that 30% of the project or 60% of the project? Yes, we can. These are our solid pieces. Now we're looking at the things where we don't really have a good understanding, where we can't build acceptance criteria for it. We have an understanding of what it is that we're trying to do, but we know that that's going to evolve and grow. Once you do that, what you do is you create a level of comfort, safety, ability to be successful, and understanding of the difference within your team, and then you open them up to be able to feel grounded and concrete in the acceptance criteria elements and more open to conversation and dialogue and learning and understanding and new interpretations and innovation on the piece of the project that truly is emerging and that is more flexible and does require a lot more agility. This simple distinction can help you feel like you're more in control of your project, which is not a bad thing in today's environment where projects are moving so fast and are so complex, and it does the same thing for your team, and it gives you the freedom to feel like you have more time and more room and more space and more open-mindedness to look at what conditions of satisfaction could really look like over the duration of the project. So as you start thinking about how you build high-functioning teams, how you deliver on incredibly complex projects, and as you start thinking about the difference between conditions of satisfaction versus acceptance criteria, really encourage you to start delineating those for yourself and seeing the impact that they have on your project. I also encourage you to look at a free white paper that I have for you, which talks about execution by design and touches on this idea of conditions of satisfaction and how dynamic and important that is and how it evolves over time. It's available through a link down in the comments below, and it's also available on my website, which is www.jenniferkenny.com/execution. Have a look at it, see how it resonates with you in terms of what I'm talking about here, see if it helps you. Let me know in the comments and let's continue the dialogue. This is a very complex area, and the distinctions and the subtleties of it are really important for you to understand as you start wanting to move into the space of building phenomenal teams and delivering on amazing products. As you do it, I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to being on the receiving end of some amazing products. Take care and look after yourself.